She trusted him. She thought she was safe. It was sadly a mistake that cost her her life. Today we take you to a location that is very familiar to me, a little town in Australia called Gatton, a population of around 7,000 people, and about 100 kilometres west of Brisbane. This is where I spent most of my schooling years. Gatton, or in my time, the Ghetto, is a small town. A town where almost everyone knows each other. Our story today is about a girl who went to the same high school as me. She also worked at the McDonald's like I did. I didn't know her personally, but I would like to raise awareness of her story today and tell the world about the spirit that she was. This is the story of Jayde Kendall. G'day there everyone, welcome to Bedtime Crime, a channel dedicated to telling you stories about serial killers, murder stories and much more. So remember to like and subscribe and let me know if there are any stories or crime related topics you want me to cover. Let's get into it. Jayde Amanda Kendall, born on the 18th of February 1999. Sadly, her mother passed away when she was very young. Jayde's father said that she would get upset on her mother's birthday. However, from the outside looking in, Jayde's father raised her very well. Seeming to be a cheerful, smiley girl, she was studious and also held a job at the local McDonald's, a place where she met a lot of friends and met people who cared about her. Her father said that she wanted to pay him back for the money he lent her to buy her a car. It takes some maturity, especially at 16, to think about paying your parents back. She also told her brother that she would one day buy him a house when she becomes a successful psychologist. She was a girl who had a bright future. She was described by her schoolmates as a girl who was always happy. However, the life of a young student is sometimes very difficult. This was sadly the case for young Jayde. She was reported to be fat-shamed in school and suffered anxiety. She attended counselling, to which her father said the counselling helped a lot. Which is something I think everyone should take note. If you feel like you are or have been bullied, please seek counselling. You are not weak for doing so. And in many situations, it can be beneficial for your mental health. Like most high schoolers, the thought of love is always tempting. Jayde was reported to have been in and out of relationships during high school. As with most high school relationships, they would only last a short time. Jayde was a mature, loving girl. But like most of us at one point in our lives, she was blinded by infatuation. Sadly, Jayde's life changed forever when she started talking to a guy in the same social group as her. Jayde started talking to a young man by the name of Bennett. Bennett's 19 years old at the time of their first meeting was nothing special. Average build, average looking, overall, just what a normal guy looked like. However, Jayde seemed to enjoy his company. They started sending Snapchats on a regular basis. They would often meet after school or whenever Jayde had a shift at McDonald's. Their relationship seemed to be moving quickly. After some research, I found that Jayde broke up with her ex-boyfriend at the beginning of August. Within the month, she met Bennett, and her death was soon after. But just remember back when you were her age. It's understandable. Most of us were vulnerable to love. Most high school loves would be like a wildfire. I know I was in and out of love with people quite often. Jayde was vulnerable. She just got out of a relationship and wanted to find comfort in someone else. She trusted Bennett, but sadly, this was a mistake. On the 14th of August 2015, Jade and Bennett exchanged texts. Jade messaged Bennett telling him that she was nervous about meeting him after school. Bennett replied with, "I'm sure the nerves will go away once things heat up." She answered with, "Let's just take things slowly to start with." Jade was clearly in two minds about what to do. She had just struck up a new relationship with who she thought she could trust. Later that afternoon at around 3:20 p.m, Jade was seen getting into a red Toyota Corolla, later found out to be Bennett's car. If it wasn't clear already, Jade and Bennett were planning a tryst. Though Jade was giving consent, this is obviously a very sensitive time for people of Jade's age. What wasn't clear is if Jade knew about Bennett's past with other women. But it seemed that she had no idea what he was capable of. Bennett was known to enjoy strangulation while being intimate with former girlfriends and lovers. Bennett knew the danger of this action. He knew that it put his past girlfriends in uncomfortable situations, but this didn't stop him from wanting to continue this. I'm sure his former girlfriends look back at this case and are grateful it wasn't them. Jade was last seen in the car heading out of Gatton by a few different witnesses. CCTV footage caught a glimpse of Jade in the car heading out of Gatton, but when the same car was seen coming back, Jade was absent from the car. Bennett was later seen on CCTV withdrawing $70 from Jade's bank account. In an interview with the police, Bennett said that she asked him to take out the money. Reports say that Bennett texted Jade's PIN to himself at 3:58 p.m. It is unsure whether Jade was still alive at this point. Bennett also disposed of Jade's belongings, including her backpack, phone, and wallet. Police later discovered that he also deleted messages between Jade and himself. However, Bennett didn't know that messages can be retrieved. Jade's father was notified of Jade's disappearance when she failed to show up for a shift at her part-time job. However, I also found sources that say Jade called in before her shift to cancel it. On August the 16th, and still unaware of Jade's death, a Facebook page was created to find the whereabouts of Jade. The community got behind the page by sharing it on their own personal pages. Though we know this story ends in tragedy, it was touching to see how many people were looking out for Jade. Bennett was interviewed at the time that Jade was still reported missing. His story would start off with him stating that they were not close. Eventually, the story would change to where he told the police she asked Bennett for help.
She told me she needed to get away for a while, and I up. And her missing is my fault.
Tell me more about that.
I shouldn't have left her on the side of the road. You probably pieced together that I'm a liar.
It was a whole 13 days later when Jade's body was found. On a day I'm sure he won't forget, a local resident noticed a strange smell coming from his property. After some investigating, the property owner found a body lying on the side of the road. The body was covered in grass and decomposing. Her arms left over her head. The property owner called police straight away, and it was later confirmed to be Jade. Due to the decomposition of the body, the cause of death could not be determined, but the time of death is estimated between 3:20 p.m. and 6 p.m. on August the 14th. A nightmare-filled 13 days for the father and friends had come to an end. I can't even begin to imagine the pain that one must feel to not know where your child is, and then to eventually find out that that child has passed away. Jade's death was announced on TV and on the Facebook page dedicated to Jade.
I can confirm that her body was located, and that is the one of missing person Jayde Kendall. I've spoken to Jade's father and her extended family, and as you imagine, they're very upset to hear this news. We've ended up with the result of it. We've arrested a male person for murder of Jade.
Comments of support and sorrow from the community and other parts of Australia flooded the Facebook page. It was an event that definitely changed Gatton and the surrounding suburbs forever. The police had enough evidence to go forward with a case against Bennett's, but it seemed that Bennett's was already moving on from Jade. It was reported that Bennett was messaging a 16-year-old female friend who lived in England. All this was going on leading up to and after Jade's death. The messages between the two friends were sexually suggestive, as well as exchanging lyrics from songs. Bennett messaged the female friend things like, "Death is such a weird concept." Bennett also went on YouTube and searched best way to dispose of a body the day before he killed Jade. Now, with Jade's body found, this resulted in more interviews and news stories from him. Eventually, Bennett pleaded guilty to manslaughter. Bennett tried to convince the judge and jury that it was a situation that got out of hand, rather than a premeditated one. The barrister for Bennett is quoted by saying that it was unintentional and that it was foolish and dangerous behaviour. However, the judge and jury were not convinced. 3 former girlfriends of Bennett also testified against him to back up the choking that Bennett used to inflict while with girls. The judge on the case said that Bennett was cold and calculated.
You betrayed the trust of a young, inexperienced 16-year-old. You showed her no respect. You attacked her inherent dignity as a person. You attacked her dignity as a woman. You killed her and then just got rid of her. All of those actions are appalling. All of those actions are rightly condemned by the community.
Bennett was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison for the murder of Jayde Kendall on September 14, 2017. It took the jury less than 1 day to reach their verdict. Bennett will be eligible for parole in 2037. Jade's father has pleaded to the public to think of their own children when Bennett is eligible for parole. And we are all hoping the people who make that decision will listen to Jade's father. In 2018, Brendan Bennett's legal team appealed to have his murder conviction overturned. Thankfully for the father and the friends of Jade, the appeal was denied. It is shocking when any murder occurs, but when you live in a small community, it seems to rock the whole of that community. Jade was so young. She was looking forward to the future. She possessed the drive to work hard for her future. And it seemed that the small town of Gatton responded to Jade's father's wishes. A memorial dedicated to Jayde Kendall was unveiled in Gatton. The Jayde Kendall Day of Awareness Walk would be organised every year to remember Jade, but due to the pandemic, further walks have been postponed. If you would like to pay your respects, it would be lovely if you could visit the memorial, or please leave your respects to the following Facebook page. It must be said, even after the terrible tragedy of Jayde Kendall, one of the best things that the community can do is raise awareness of Jade's situation. If you ever feel like you're in the slightest bit of danger, if it's possible to let someone know where you are and who you're with, please do so. Every little bit of information you can tell someone could save your life. Though this story has to mention the killer, we must see this as a victim's story. She is the one that deserves to be remembered. Thank you very much for listening. Remember to like and subscribe, and don't forget to comment about any stories you would like to hear. See you next time.